Namaste. Welcome back to Waking Up with Mindful Serenity Yoga, and I'm Nancy. I'm just going to continue along with the exercise that I have been doing for almost 3 years now. I can't believe how fast time goes by. And I heard Eckhart Tolle talking today about time and how we are all kind of inflicted with the virus of time. We can't get away from it. So it's a disease that we can't escape. Regardless of that, I like to embrace every moment that I have, and part of that, learning to embrace every moment that I have, is learning from great masters on things like presence and how to be mindful and how to appreciate, etc., etc. So this is what this exercise actually adheres to, trying to help me assimilate all this wonderful knowledge that I've been gaining for over 25 years with my yoga practice and my studying of almost every ancient wisdom that I can get my hands on, especially from the East. But of course, I do study Christianity and Judaism and some of the other, and the First Nations spiritual bits of wisdom that they're willing to share. I believe that all of it leads to the one truth, and they're all the one path. They're all the one, heading for the one truth, many paths, I meant to say. And I think I heard Satchidananda say that in his translation of the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. Anyway, how I ramble again. I am going to reach into this jar. And I do have my, just going to make sure this clock doesn't go away on me. I'm going to reach into the jar to make sure this is a question that I've never told. Okay, I don't think I answered this question before. So I am going to take a deep breath, just so that I can get rid of that old ego that wants to pretend it knows everything, and that's out of the way, and the answer is more likely to be authentic, coming from the deeper part of me, the deeper part we all have within us. So I'm going to press my timer for 10 minutes. I think I am. There we go. These little technological things are the things that throw me over. I am going to answer this question. Why are spiritual seekers told not to look for God? Why are spiritual seekers told not to look for God? Why are spiritual teachers told not to look, spiritual seekers told not to look for God? And I like this question. I think it's a very profound question. And yes, anyone who deems himself a spiritual seeker, which is anybody basically trying to look for the truth of who they are and what life is all about, and get to a deeper understanding that goes beyond this puny little me focus we all tend to be so attached to and so addicted to. Spiritual seeking then is a way of breaking through that to find the truth that lies beneath that which we are conditioned to believe is all that's real, when it really isn't real. So we're all, in a sense, spiritual seekers, whether we know it or not. We're all longing, as Eckhart Tolle said today in a video that I listened to, and I can't remember the name of the video, I'm sorry. Transcending self-transcendence. It was regarding self-transcendence anyway. He said that we're all longing for this freedom from self, the freedom from the personality, the freedom from this bondage that we are in when we are addicted to little me and our little me's problematic dramas. So when we get beyond that, we are attempting to get beyond that, is the spiritual seeking that we may do. And we're all doing it. We're all longing for that freedom, whether we know it or not. We just tend to do it in the roundabout, indirect way of seeking things from the outside to make this little me feel better. And sometimes it takes great suffering, external events that are very challenging, for us to come to realize that we can't get what we need from the outside to get that longing met. It's an internal game. So a spiritual seeker then is someone who is seeking to end that longing through self-transcendence, through realization of the truth, the iti of life, the what is of life. So we're all, whether we know it or not, spiritual seekers. And why, once we come to realize that we're spiritual seekers and we say, go off to an ashram in India, or just, go sit in a lecture hall where Eckhart Tolle or Michael Singer is talking, for example, or we're just reading books and we're hearing it or seeing it, that we are not to seek God. We are not to seek God. True spiritual seeking is not seeking, period. And I think that is the crucial point of that statement. Seeking, as long as we're seeking, as long as we're searching for something outside of ourselves, we are not going to find what we're looking for. We're not going to end that longing for connection that we are experiencing, because seeking is an outward movement. It's taking us actually further away from that which we're looking for, because that what we're looking for is already inside us. It is a part of our deeper I, our internal depth, our essence, our presence, who we really are. And that's what we're seeking that connection from. We are like little waves or little ripples on a vast ocean, and we are seeing ourselves, focusing on the little troughs and crests that we have, the experiences of life that we are experiencing that are right in front of us, that are related to this idea we have of me. And of course, this idea we have of me is just a psyche personality, a storage of learned, conditioned experiences and beliefs that we've hung on to, that we have created, in a sense, this idea of me. So as long as we are focusing on our troughs and our crests as these little waves, these eternal dramas, these external dramas that we're experiencing, our clinging and our grasping and our pushing away, our attachments and our aversions, our desiring, we are going to see ourselves as tiny little waves on a vast ocean, and all around us are other little waves. We don't recognize that as waves on this ocean, we are actually an extension of the ocean. And until we realize we're the actual water that makes the wave, the water that makes the ocean, we are going to be lost in this little drama, and we're going to be bound to it. It's going to feel like prison to us. So we need to recognize that as waves, we are ocean. A wave is a part of the ocean, just like a beam of sunlight is actually an extension of the sun. It isn't the sun. The ocean is bigger and grander than this little thing we call me and this body and mind. But it is the essence of who we are. We are not the body and mind, and not the personality that was created to preserve the body and mind, to protect, defend, and attack for the body and mind. We've created this illusion of self, and we spend all our lives trying to protect it and defend for it, and which ends up often attacking for it and seeking out there for what we need. And the more we do that, the further away from recognizing and realizing who we really are we go. So it's not a process of seeking, it is a process of simply remembering who we are. We remember who we are. And we can't really explain, like we can explain the personality in words and concepts, because it's based on words and concepts and ideas and beliefs and opinions. We can't do that with the true self, or the deeper I that exists beyond this little me, that which we are and that which we are unconsciously or consciously seeking. And I again use that word seeking loosely. We can't define this thing that we are. We can't define the ocean from which we are originating. We can't define the experience of being the ocean. But especially when we're so caught up in the doing of the little me, and thinking, of course, is a form of doing, right? This thinking, creating ideas and concepts and ideas, is all doing, and we're so lost in that type of doing, caught up in the mental stream of thinking, lost in it, identified with it, that we do not experience the being of the ocean. And so we need to get beyond that concept, addiction, and that thinking addiction, and this ideation that this is who we are, addiction, and fall back into the freedom of the ocean, the expansive spaciousness of the ocean. Eckhart Tolle, in the same video, I wish I could, I will try to find it for you and link it underneath, but in the same video, he talks about self-transcendence is a realization, once again, of the spacious consciousness of who we are, the higher consciousness. Our minds are like clouds. Our thought streams and our ideations of who we are clouds on the surface of this tremendously grand and spacious sky. We get so lost in the clouds, we do not see the blue sky beneath it. And sometimes life is challenging. Sometimes it's just stark and heavy, and that's all we see. It's all that seems to be going in front of us. It seems that's all there is. But if we look hard enough for the breaks in that cloud cover, just little splotches of blue sky, little splotches of light coming through, and keep focusing on that, those little splotches, we will eventually see that clouds, like all phenomenon in life, will pass right by us, and the blue sky once again will reveal itself. So what we're longing for is that experience of being the blue sky, of connecting with the blue sky, of being that spacious consciousness, which is in a sense taking a wider lensed approach to focusing on life. It's assuming out rather than assuming in. And we spend most of our lives zoomed into these little me's and these little problematic dramas that we don't experience the spaciousness of who we really are. And the cloud cover, this personality, it's all its dramas, the life events that unfold in front of us, and things we are focusing on as higher consciousness, but they are not who we are. They're who we think we are. Again, they're mental concepts and ideations. And the experience of being who we are is beyond thought and concept. So they really don't go together. So as long as we're seeking, we're using that mind, we're using that thought, concept, ideation, the mind, the intellectual mind, to try to understand as something that cannot be understood with the intellectual mind. Seeking who we are, seeking truth, seeking God. And again, God is a concept that the intellectual mind uses to find this thing that we want to experience, that we're longing to experience, the connection of that thing with that thing again. The mind uses the word God, but it just contracts this spaciousness down into this little word. We get so hung up on the word, it becomes another concept that we protect and defend, because my version of God may differ from your version of God and whatnot. When God itself, the essence of God is magnificent, but the word itself is just a word, and what we attach to it in form of connotation can lead to great suffering if we're attached to that. So even with that seeking of God, we need to zoom out, and instead of focusing on our dogma and our doctrine and our small little ideation of what God might be, we need to zoom out to the experience of God. So it doesn't involve seeking. It doesn't involve looking out there for other concepts or any objects of consciousness to help us understand God. It's actually a moving away from objects of consciousness to the consciousness, to the experience of God once again. So that may sound a little complicated and a little roundabout, but so the question again was, why are spiritual seekers told not to look for God? God is behind every thought we have. Yeah, I think it was Meher Baba that said that. Or Ramakrishna, I'm sorry, can't remember right off. But God is behind every thought we have. It was Yogananda that said that. So behind the thought and concept we have of this God that we are seeking, or this experience of God we are seeking, is the actual experience. So the experiencer of the experience is who we are. And instead of experiencing the drama that takes us away from God, which is to focus on the personality and the little me and all its problems, we can simply fall back into the ocean of who we are, where we experience the being of God. Being that wave is a magnificent thing, because it is an emanation of God. We're all emanations of God, and we are to experience that, not to explain it, describe it, use words to define it, which limit and constrict it. We are to simply experience it. So as long as we're seeking, we are trapped in the external world, the physical world, everything God isn't. And to a true spiritual seeker, a true person wanting that sense of God, has to fall away from the mind and its intellectualizations and its conceptualizations and back into the experience of being the ocean, a piece, as tiny as it may seem, of this magnificent, spacious ocean. Well, as you can hear, my timer is up. I want to thank you again for joining me, and I do hope that you have an amazing day. Namaste.